He promised to keep my darkest secret, then told his whole family. Now I'm torn between love and betrayal. Hi Reddit, long-time lurker, but first-time poster. Throw away because I don't want this link to my account. I, 21F, have been dating Mark, 23M, for about a month at this point, but we knew each other for 3 years through mutual friend groups. So I had a friend Brad, M22, that I'd known through primary school, and we ended up going to the same high school and university. Brad and I had never had any romantic feelings towards each other, and I truly saw him like a brother. Mark knew about Brad, and they were friends too. Anyways, one night before Mark and I had become exclusive, Brad and I were hanging out after a class at his house, and we decided to have some drinks and watch a movie with his roommate. I don't actually remember how much I drank, but I was pretty hammered by the end of the night. I don't remember what happened completely, but Brad and I ended up having sex. He took my virginity, and I was way too drunk to consent to it. Brad and I had a massive argument, and I called Mark, who came straight away to pick me up. Mark and Brad ended up getting into a massive fight, which ended up in the cops getting called. After that, I cut all contact with Brad and haven't spoken to him since. I haven't told anyone about the incident, only Mark and I asked him not to talk about it with anyone until I was ready. He completely agreed. Mark and I began dating about 4 months after the incident, but the whole situation had left me so shaken up that I haven't been able to be intimate with him, which he says he completely understands. He's been so supportive. So to the situation, I was talking to Mark's older sister yesterday when she asked if Mark and I had solved out intimacy issue yet. I got quite embarrassed as the question came out of nowhere, but I told her that we were working on it slowly. She then asked, "Is it because of what happened with your old friend?" This caught me so off guard because only Mark knows about the situation. I asked how she knew about it, and she confessed that Mark had told her. I asked her when he told her, and she said the night it happened. I asked who else knew, and she replied, "My whole family." He was asking for advice. I began having a full-blown panic attack and left. He's been calling and texting a bunch after his sister told him, and I've told him to leave me alone for now. My trust has been completely broken, and at this very moment, I don't know if I can trust Mark. My question is, how do I possibly move on from this situation and build trust with Mark? Is it worth salvaging this relationship, or would it be in my best interest to let go? How do I even go about communicating with his family after this? Edit. This for much more attention than I was expecting. Thank you so much for all the helpful responses and advice I've received. It has helped me see another perspective. I just wanted to answer a question about when Mark and I had the conversation. Mark and I had the conversation about him keeping the situation between us immediately after he had dropped me home after the incident. We had a long private conversation, and I opened up about exactly how I felt. He promised that he wouldn't tell anyone, and I believed him wholeheartedly. Regarding Mark's sister, we aren't close. We talk, but we aren't at a point where I'd open up to her about my issues. I was also seeing a therapist after the incident had happened. However, they made me feel judged, and I was no longer comfortable seeing them. I'm currently looking for a therapist that I can mesh well with. Regarding Brad's level of intoxication, from what I remember, he had a few beers. His roommate and I were taking shots. Brad was always a heavyweight when it came to alcohol, and I don't have a high alcohol tolerance. I can't be certain on how sober Brad was, as I'm not him. Update 1. I made a post here about a month ago and have been getting PMs asking for an update, so I thought I would. I apologize for any spelling mistakes. Writing this on phone while being severely sleep deprived. Mark and I spoke about a week after I found out he told his family. I had been super busy with uni and work, so I was mainly focused on that. He sent me a message sometime on Sunday and asked to meet at a park as I was not comfortable facing his family at the time. We met up, and he basically explained that the night he got into the fight with Brad, he was so scared of being arrested and called his parents for advice about what to do. He didn't mention the situation to his sister, but after prying, he found out that she overheard it. She refused to tell him how long she's known, but our guess is the night of. I then asked about if he was talking about our intimacy issues with his sister. He adamantly denied, stating that he's never talked to anyone about it. I asked how she knew, and he was lost for words. I decided to call his sister with the mark there. His sister and I are friendly, but we don't have a close relationship. Anyways, she picked up after the second ring, and I asked her if Mark had spoken to her about our intimacy issue. She said he hadn't, so I asked how she found out. She replied that she just assumed. That day, she brought up intimacy randomly, and my reaction confirmed what she was assuming. She apologized and said she mentioned Mark's name because she wanted us to break up. She said how he deserved better and that he shouldn't have to put up with a whiny bitch who won't kiss him at events. Mark became angry and yelled at her, so she hung up. Mark apologized for what his sister said and said he had no idea she was harboring those thoughts. I honestly just wanted to ignore his sister. We weren't close anyways. He then apologized for telling his parents and not telling me he told them. I kind of understand why he did it, which is why we're trying to work through this. I asked if he could do a therapy session with me, and he agreed straight away. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention I found a therapist that I mesh really well with. We've had 3 sessions so far, and she's been so kind and understanding of my situation. I feel completely comfortable talking with her, and we're slowly working on some issue. Mark and I have also slowly been working on our intimacy issue. We cuddle and kiss way more, and I feel more comfortable with him. We had a family conversation with his parents, and I explained my feelings about the whole situation. The situation has made me much closer to Mark and his parents, but I'm very cautious around his sister. She also avoids me, so it's meh. Mark has also been limiting how much he talks to her, which has really affected her. She ended up sending me a message apologizing about what she said. Anyways, sorry this wasn't as exciting as other stories, but I'm glad the situation resolved itself the way it did. Thank you kindly for your support and advice. It really helped. Update 2. Hey Reddit, it's been a few weeks since my last update, and I wanted to check in with how things have been going. Honestly, I wasn't sure whether to post again, but I've been getting a lot of messages asking for updates, so here I am. I appreciate everyone who has reached out, and the advice you've given has been super helpful. So, where do I even begin? After the big blowout with Mark's sister, things between Mark and me were better, but also kind of weird. It's hard to explain. We've been going to therapy together, and that's been amazing in some ways. Like, I genuinely feel like we're communicating better than ever before. Mark has been more open about his feelings, and I've been working on feeling more comfortable with him. We've slowly gotten back to being more intimate, which was a huge step for me, and I'm grateful he's been so patient. However, something strange happened about a week ago that I can't stop thinking about. I mentioned before that Brad and I had cut contact after the incident, right? Well, out of nowhere, I got a message from him. It was weird and unexpected, especially after all this time. At first, I thought it was just some generic message like, hey, long time no talk. But it was way more than that. Brad actually apologized. Like, a real heartfelt apology. He said he's been going to therapy. Yeah, that surprised me too. And he's been working through a lot of stuff. He said he's finally realizing how messed up the whole situation was and that he didn't handle it well at all. He admitted that I was way too drunk to consent, and he's been feeling guilty about it ever since. He said that he didn't fully understand the concept of consent at the time, which sounds like a pretty lame excuse, but whatever. He also mentioned that he's been thinking about the fight with Mark and regrets that it escalated the way it did. I didn't reply. I didn't know what to say, and honestly, I didn't even want to engage. But it's been weighing on me, and I can't stop thinking about it. Part of me feels like maybe this is closure. But another part of me is just angry. Like, really angry. I don't know if I even believe that he's genuinely sorry, or if this is just him trying to make himself feel better. I guess it doesn't matter either way, but it's really been messing with my head. I haven't told Mark about the message yet. I know I should, but I'm scared it'll reopen old wounds that we've worked so hard to heal. Things have been so good between us lately, and I don't want to jeopardize that. But at the same time, keeping this from him feels wrong. I just don't know what to do. Anyway, on to Mark's family. His sister. Ugh, I don't even know what to say about her anymore. After her apology, which, let's be honest, didn't feel genuine at all, I thought we'd just keep our distance and everything would be fine. But she's been acting super passive-aggressive whenever I'm around. Like at family dinners, she'll make little comments under her breath about how some people just need to get over themselves or how certain relationships are doomed from the start. It's exhausting. And Mark has tried to talk to her about it, but she just shuts him down. She claims she's not saying anything directly about me, but it's pretty obvious who she's talking about. The rest of his family seems to be catching on too. His mom even pulled me aside at one point and said that she doesn't know why Mark's sister has been acting this way, but that I shouldn't take it personally. Easier said than done, right? The weirdest part, though, is that Mark's sister has started hanging out with Brad again. Yep, you read that right. I found out through some mutual friends who mentioned seeing them together. Apparently, they've reconnected and have been spending a lot of time together lately. I have no idea how that even happened, especially after everything that went down, but it's seriously messing with my head. I don't know if it's just a coincidence or if she's doing it to spite me or what. When I brought it up to Mark, he seemed just as confused as I was. He had no idea they were talking again, and he seemed genuinely upset about it. But at the same time, I could tell he didn't want to get in the middle of it. He said he's going to talk to his sister again, but I'm not holding my breath. She's been so difficult lately that I doubt anything he says will make a difference. I guess that's where things stand right now. I'm feeling super conflicted about everything. On one hand, I'm really proud of the progress Mark and I have made in our relationship. But on the other hand, all this drama with his sister, and now Brad is making me feel like I'm back at square one. I know I need to talk to Mark about Brad's message, but I just don't know how to bring it up without causing more stress. Part of me wonders if I should just block Brad and pretend like his apology never happened. But another part of me feels like I need to address it in some way, if only for my own peace of mind. It's a lot to process, and I'm not sure I'm ready to deal with it all yet. I'll keep you guys posted if anything changes, but for now, I'm just trying to take things one day at a time. Thanks again for all the support. It means more than you know. If anyone has any advice on how to handle this whole Brad situation, I'd really appreciate it. Update 3. So I didn't expect to be back here with another update so soon, but things have taken a pretty wild turn, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around it all. I guess I'll just dive right in. Remember how I mentioned that Mark's sister has been hanging out with Brad? Well, it turns out they're not just hanging out. They're dating. Yeah, you heard that right. I found out the hard way when one of our mutual friends let it slip at a party. Apparently, they've been seeing each other for a couple of months now. And somehow, Mark and I were the last to know. When I found out, I was furious, like absolutely livid. Not just because of the betrayal from Brad, but because Mark's sister knew everything that had happened between us and still decided to date him. It felt like a slap in the face, like she was purposely trying to hurt me. I couldn't believe she would do something so spiteful. I confronted Mark about it the same night I found out, and he was just as shocked as I was. He had no idea they were even remotely involved. He immediately called his sister to ask what the hell was going on, and she actually admitted that she knew about everything between Brad and me but didn't care. She said that Brad had changed and that he was a good guy now. She even went as far as to say that maybe I was overreacting to the whole situation and that what happened between Brad and me wasn't as bad as I made it out to be. I'm not even kidding. Those were her exact words. I was shaking with anger. Mark was furious too and told his sister that he couldn't believe she would do something so hurtful. They got into a massive fight, and now they're not speaking at all. Mark even told his parents what was going on, and they're upset with his sister too, but she's completely doubling down on her decision to be with Brad. This whole thing has turned into a huge mess. I'm trying to process everything, but it feels like my world has been turned upside down. Brad, of all people, is now dating someone in Mark's family, and I have no idea how to handle it. Every time I think about it, I get this sick feeling in my stomach. It's like the universe is playing some cruel joke on me. Mark has been really supportive through all of this, but I can tell it's taking a toll on him too. He's been distancing himself from his sister, and it's been really hard on him because they used to be so close. I feel guilty that all this drama is tearing his family apart, but at the same time, I can't just sit here and pretend like it's not affecting me. I'm seriously at a loss right now. I don't know how to move forward from this. Part of me feels like I should just cut all ties with Mark's family and focus on our relationship. but another part of me feels like this is too much. How do you continue dating someone when their sibling is dating the person who assaulted you? It feels impossible. I don't know what to do, Reddit. Any advice would be appreciated.